Count money, man. Stack riches. Try and told him I'm a beast, bud.
What's up, gang? Welcome back to another episode of the GRINDcast. Get ready. It's a new day. Breed success. Let's breed some success out here. Success does not exist without failure. Success does not exist without failure. And consistency is where you start to breed success. So to breed it is to be consistent, but to have success is to be able to go through failure. And so there's the two parts to that, is the failure and the consistency. And so I think part of it is having realistic expectations that you're going to succeed, but you're going to fail. And so I think people sometimes divide those things, but they kind of go hand in hand, that the only way we're going to win, the only way we're going to reach that long-term success is that we're going to have moments of failure. And whether it shows up on a win and loss record or it doesn't show up in the win and loss record, there's these private moments, there's these moments of failure and struggle that all champions and people that make it to levels of success, that there's all these levels of failure and struggle that people don't see before you see the success. And so I think you just got to understand and expect that there's going to be these moments of failure. And you're going to be able to have to take the L's with the W's. You can't win if you can't handle a loss. And believe me, you don't want to lose. Nobody wants to lose. But there's going to be lessons to those perceived losses that bring you more victories in life. Even the person that is 50-0, in the column of wins and losses, they have a 0 for losses, but they have all those wins because of how many losses that they overcame. Private losses, during practice, losses and failures and all these setbacks, things that these are losses and setbacks and lessons that got them those W's. And so it's sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. It's a win or it's a lesson. And so it's that old quote by Thomas Edison. We wouldn't have no light. Thomas Edison, I have not failed. I just found 10,000 ways that won't work, because they said it took them over 10,000 tries to create the light bulb. And so imagine if he had all these other inventions, all these other things that failed on the 10th time, if he would have quit, what would have happened? He said he didn't fail. I have not failed. I just found all these different ways that didn't work. In the process of finding the way that works, sometimes you got to go through perceived failure in order to find the way that works. And so it's what you do after the failure that defines you. It's how you handle the failure that defines you. Resilience is the muscle that you build by lifting the weight of failure. Right? So you build muscle. You know, people want to get in shape. People talk about that muscle. I can't tell you how many people I know that got big jack muscles, but inside they're weak. Mentally, they're weak. Spiritually, they're weak. Internally, they're weak because they haven't learned to build up that muscle. Resilience, that's the muscle that you build by lifting the weight of failure. And you can't really grow without having resilience. So that failure just creates growth, depending on how you handle it. And if you're not growing, guess what? They say you're either growing or you're dying. You're either growing or you're dying. If we're going to grow, failure is some of the stuff that creates growth. And the true failure is just not growing at all. And I think that's what happens is sometimes people, they quit chasing their dreams, or they quit, they stay stagnant, they get stagnant because of failure. They haven't developed the relationship with failure that builds them and takes them to the next level. They have a relationship with failure that makes them quit because they think that's what's supposed to stop them. But you got to understand, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Failure is the stepping stone at times. So it's like, how do I evaluate this failure, grow from this failure, practice and learn from this failure? It was Winston Churchill. I know last year we had an opportunity to go to London, and I was so excited. We went to go look at the Winston Churchill war rooms, and it was talking about, this is where he was at when all the bombs were going off during World War. And while they were getting bombed, Winston Churchill is known as one of those great leaders that has led through adversity. And he said that success is going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. Hear that again. Many of you have probably heard this quote before, so don't let it go in one ear and out the other. Really let it digest right now. Winston Churchill. Now, this ain't a guy that was just chilling in the couch somewhere with no adversity and obstacle. This is somebody that led in the brink of, we could probably lose the whole country here. And we're getting bombed. And I'm hiding. And I got to lead people through, we're losing. He said success is going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm, without losing motivation. I think that that's the difference between the people that win and the people that don't win, is that the successful people go from failure to failure and they keep focused, they keep the vision, they keep the enthusiasm. Other people go from failure to a couple failures to losing the enthusiasm to quitting. And that's Winston Churchill said success is going from failure to failure without losing motivation. People want the success without the failure. Your whole life, you're going to have to be able to handle success and handle failure if you're going to continue to climb the stairs of greatness. So success doesn't exist without the failure. And the consistency is what's going to continue to multiply and breed that success. So once we start to get that relationship and mindset right with the failure piece, now it's like, can we get consistent? Can we work consistently? Consistency is what keeps you going through the failures, because you're consistent with the process, that I'm consistent with chasing whatever it is that I'm chasing without being too emotionally tied to the result. I'm just going to be consistent. And if you're consistent enough in the process, typically you're going to have a bunch of success. Consistency is about habits. And you know the term that they say habits form your life, shape your future. The test of greatness and the hallmark of excellence is consistency. The test of greatness and the hallmark of excellence is consistency. If you want to be great, you got to be consistent. That's the test of greatness. Let me test you. You think about a test, the test of greatness. So the test, if you want to pass the test to greatness, it's being consistent. Consistency means it doesn't end. There's no destination that we're looking at. It's just, we just keep going. We just rinse and repeat. We're consistent. This is what we do. And so when you're consistent, you allow compounding interest to work for you. So I had an opportunity this morning to have breakfast with an awesome young lady that I've had an opportunity to watch grow into an adult. She's 18. And I was showing her about compounding interest. I said, look, if you just save $1,000 a month, that's it. By the time you're my age, you'd have over $1 million just earning 10% interest on that money. Think about that. I'm talking about $1,000 a month. This is like doing she could do her normal job, normal routine, save $1,000 a month. By the time you're my age, you'll have liquid over $1 million. Because of compounding interest. It doesn't seem like a lot. Okay, so let's just, for the sake of averages, let's say she was 20 and I'm 40, which she's a little bit younger and I'm a little bit older. But let's say 20 to 40, right? So you got 20 years. 1,000 a month, that's 12,000 times 10 years is 120 times 20 years is 240. So let's say basically she would have set $250,000 aside, but would have had over $1 million. That's compounding interest. That's what success in the process of consistency does, is if you just keep putting in a little bit consistently, you're going to quadruple up. Consistency is showing up when you're not motivated. That's really that is the key to success, because the test of greatness is consistency. Well, the key to consistency is it's easy to be consistent when the sun is shining and you got a good night's sleep last night and there's no drama in your personal life. But when it's raining outside and you got drama in your personal life and maybe you didn't get the best sleep, are you consistent then with your effort, with your attitude, with the process, with the system, with the consistency of everything that needs to happen? That's where you start to separate yourself. Is, can I let this compounding interest work on my behalf if I just keep showing up, doing the process with a positive attitude? If I'm consistent with doing the work, can I do it when I'm not motivated? You're not always going to be motivated. That's for kids. Adults, you got to motivate yourself. To be a professional, you got to motivate yourself. That's why Zig Ziglar, they said they told him motivation doesn't last. He said that's why we recommend it daily, like bathing. Showers don't last either, but you got to bathe every day. You might not be motivated every day. You got to try to motivate yourself every day. Try to listen to positive things, have your vision in front of you, do things that inspire you on a consistent basis, because you're going to have to find ways to motivate yourself when you're not motivated. And even when you're not motivated, this don't have nothing to do with being motivated. It's just doing the work. You ever think about people like, we got the pleasure here of working with, sometimes we've had an opportunity to work with the mine workers. We've had an opportunity to work, some of my friends work on the railroads. I mean, I have to imagine sometimes digging holes and being deep down in holes with dirt around you. You can't be every day waking up perfect. Oh, I'm excited. Working on the railroad, but maybe sometimes, maybe not all the time. I know I drive past people sometimes in the winter and they're working on the street outside and they're fixing the road or they're drilling a hole in the road and it's like 35 degrees, 30 degrees outside. They can't be like, man, I'm fired up today, motivated. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do to take care of your family. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do to take care of your dream, because you're not always going to be motivated to do what is required. Sometimes the outcome you'll love, some of the things that you'll love about what you do, but there's going to be things in the process that you're not going to love. For example, you may love being an athlete, but you don't love running hills, up and down hills when you can't breathe in the heat in the summer. Well, that's part of the process you might need to do in conditioning. Well, you're doing what you love, but really that part of the process you don't love. It's the things in the consistency of the work, of the job that you got to show up in when you're not motivated that's going to take you to the next level. Motivation fluctuates, but you being consistent creates change. So we got to be able to deliver. We got to be able to be consistent with the process and everything that we got to do when we ain't motivated. So what I would say is, like, write down some things in your process of whatever it is that you do, that you know right now for where you're at. What are some things you got to be consistent with? How many times a week? How many times a day? What is it? What do you got to be consistent with? Write it down. Something powerful about writing it down. Write it down and look at it every day and make a commitment that you're going to be consistent in those areas, and watch what happens over the next 8 weeks. The thing about getting stuff done for 2025 is not always waiting for 2025 to arrive, to start it now. As always, we appreciate you joining us on the GRINDcast. If you don't mind, can you share this with other people? If you haven't yet shared it with other people, can you share it? Can you comment? Can you give us a review? Anything that you could do to spread the word and the mission over here if you found any value in the last 15 minutes. But as always, we always say it, you could be anywhere else. You could have spent your time anywhere else, and you chose to spend your time with us, and for that, we're grateful. So thank you for joining us on another episode of the GRINDcast. Get ready. It's a new day.